year, the Comparative Literature Department organizes a literary conference. And this year, after a long time, the Italian specialization has been actively involved in the organization of the conference. In this first part of the conference, we listened to many papers, very interesting papers, dealing with a huge variety of topics, and a very stimulating and intellectual activity which will follow and tomorrow with other papers to be presented and with other two keynote speakers, Professor Leonard Bakken and Professor Stephen Kruger. Tonight we are here for Professor Michael Holquist, Professor Emeritus of the Slavic and Comparative Literature Department at Yale University. But let me introduce the head of the PhD program in Comparative Literature here at the Graduate Center, Dr. André Aciman. So please join me in welcoming Professor Aciman.
Your paper here, Michael, but I'm not looking at it. But I can start reading it if you want. I want to welcome everyone here tonight. This is really a wonderful moment for everyone in our department because there is a magical moment that occurs, I think, about a month or a month and a half after we have sent out the call for papers, and people start walking into my office telling me, you know what, we got this fantastic proposal from England, this one from France, this one from Africa. And we get these requests of people who want to come here to give a talk from all over the world. So we are extremely happy and flattered that this is occurring. I'm not going to go and tell you about all the backroom activity that goes into creating such an event. The gaunt faces on the people hosting the event, Basil for one, will tell you that it's weeks and weeks of non-stop work. Anything from what kind of sodas to order, to what kind of food to bring in, whom to invite, etc., etc. And my only function is just to give this welcoming speech and to decide what the name of the conference is going to be. Sometimes there's a lot of back and forth that goes on. Shall we call it this? Shall we call it that? What is it going to be about? Everyone has an idea. And so we come at some point where there's a conciliation of views and something always comes out. And it's really a wonderful moment when suddenly we know what we're going to do in one semester. Now, the Graduate Center, unlike most institutions, hosts the Comparative Literature program, and unlike most institutions, hosts two graduate student conferences every year. And we're going to be doing this, I hope, for time immemorial. What we do is we've divided, since we characterize ourselves as a program that has half, or let's say almost half, literature, big books, and the other half, usually more than half, on theory. So we try to have two talks, or two sets of talks every year, where one half is devoted to literature and the other one to literary theory. Well, guess what? If you looked at our program, you'll see that most of it is devoted to literary theory anyway. So who are we kidding? And no one. It's all about theory, ultimately. But I think this is softer theory, and next semester is going to be hardcore theory. I'm sure it's not going to be this way, but we try to do it that way. Tonight, but it is in light of this that we are very fortunate to have Michael Holquist with us tonight. And I will tell you, among other reasons, why. Not only because he has written, I think he's the only person with Carol Emerson whose name is intimately associated with the work of Mikhail Bakhtin, but also because we've invited him to teach a whole course for us next semester for our graduate students. This is a wonderful thing for us, and I'm so happy that he accepted right away. And I'm very happy about this. It doesn't always happen that we get somebody of that envergure among us. So thank you very much for doing this. And in fact, the course will work towards this thing that we're trying to create. Claire, are you there? Yes, she is there. We're working to create this certificate in literary theory or in critical theory here at the Graduate Center. It takes a lot of work, and we're going ahead with it as if it has already been ratified. Steve, you're there, you're listening, ratify it if you can. Now, Professor Holquist is Professor Emeritus of Slavic and Comparative Literature at Yale University, where he's also a Senior Fellow at the Center for Cultural Sociology. There's so many things that you are. You've been the president of the MLA, and you've been chair of many, many departments around the country, and I won't name all of them. You've published a range of books that really sort of touch on a range of articles as well, on a range of topics that are impressive. And but I think it is with the beginnings of Dostoevsky and his novel that something began to happen, and that you devoted your attention to the work of Mikhail Bakhtin, to which, I mean, and many other works have come out of that. And I think it is an extraordinary career. And we're very happy to have you among us. Among other things, and I say this in light of Leonard Barkin's lecture tomorrow, I know that you are an enophile, and you've been involved in the wine business. And but I think Leonard Barkin congratulates himself for being the creator of wine theory. So we're in good company. Michael Holquist, welcome among us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You must all be exhausted by now. So I'll try to get through this as quickly as I decently can. Can you hear me okay? I often have trouble relating to microphones. This talk has a kind of epigraph from Thoreau, who in Walden says, "We are in great haste to construct a magnetic telegraph from Maine to Texas. But Maine and Texas, it may be, have nothing important to communicate." That is the shadow under which I speak. But I'd like to begin by thanking our hosts, Professor André Aciman, and the 2012 Comparative Literature Conference Committee, Luisana Sardu, Basil Wolf, Santiago Parga, and Daniela Eugenio, all of whom have spent so many hours and days to make this occasion a reality. They worked hard, and they have imagined well, as is evident in the topic they proposed that we consider, in-trans reading and beyond. It is the emphasis on movement, on motion and change in all those adverbs I'd like to address this afternoon, in the conviction that literacy is now experiencing a moment of tectonic shift. I'm not alone in this, of course. It has never seen a more transitive moment than the one in which we come together today. And since reading is at the heart of our discipline, no matter how variously we practice it, the nature of literacy will have momentous consequences for what we do in our professional lives. The sheer performance of reading has not until now been studied in the depth and precision that fMRI scans of brain activity make possible during the act of textual reception. All the research has conduced to a greater awareness of the movement and change involved in the combined physical and mental act of reading. We have learned that what we call reading, even in our native language, is in fact a three-part translation process. As impulses are transferred from our eyes to our ears to our brains. The physical performance of ingesting and understanding signs from a page or screen, the action of getting from writing on the page to language in the brain, is really a form of cryptography.